Right, lots to get through today. So hello and welcome to a packed Mac Trains video. Today, a bespoke TT120 calendar. Why don't we already have one? We do now. Keep watching, I need your help. Modeling tips, making a cheap and easy, and I think reasonably good looking hedge for TT120. CAD, I'm showing off the latest design for my own little station on Talon Terrace. And also then 3D printing. Let's see these things in the flesh. There's a tenement block roof as well, or rather than plastic, rather than the flesh. But we'll show these things off, having printed off, and you can come to your own conclusion. And that's not even to mention all the goodies that are just aching to drop from Hornby any second now, and may even have done so by the time you watch this video. Stay tuned. Okay, so what is this calendar idea? Well, I got my railway modeler recently, rather bereft of much TT content, but nonetheless, and it came with the free calendar, which is great. I quite like that. And in one sense, I'm not troubled about what scale model I'm looking at when I look at a calendar photo of a great layout. And that's fantastic. There's O, there's N, there's double O, and they all look superb. And they have every reason to be included in a calendar like this. However, let's get a TT1. So that's my plan, is to try and produce, if we get enough interest here, a TT121 and sell it pretty much at cost. Right now, I reckon I can get them for about £10 a shot. So my intention is to sell them for less than 15. It does depend on how many I get in, but I'm looking for help, because last thing anyone wants to do is to spend a whole year looking at photos of my half-finished layout. So here's the kind of idea, what I'm thinking of. Somewhere, maybe even over me or here, there'll be a screen grab of the sort of mock-up. And I think they'll come across quite nicely. But I need lots of you guys to put your photos in. I'll try and pick a random, not random, but a range, a selection across the different things that come in. So if you email your photos to gmactrains@gmail.com, that's gmactrains@gmail.com, and try and give them as high resolution as possible. They are better in landscape rather than portrait. I think that's the orientation. If I've got that wrong, there'll be a little blurb underneath me here saying, no, you got that wrong, Greg. It's portrait rather than landscape. I think it was landscape rather than portrait. And at any point, even if it's simply a good shot of an actual loco without much scenery behind it, or a wagon, or something that shows off the scale, the underside of the TTA wagon, if you can get a good looking shot of that, we might include it. Throw anything in. Don't think, oh, well, I haven't got my layout finished. I don't care. And one of the things I'm thinking about, and you'll see that also from a mock-up here or here, is almost a progression. So the earlier months are the first stuff that came out for TT and or the beginnings of layouts. And then they just progress until we get to December, we get the stuff that's more finished. So I'm looking for stuff that is showing a bit of progress as well. So even if you're not there yet, maybe your photo is a June photo, a middle of the way, not there yet photo. That's great. Take a photo, send it in. And for all those ones who are featured in the 12 slots that I have, you'll get it at cost. No addition on top of that at all. It'll largely be at cost anyway, but you'll get it absolutely paired to the minimum cost. I don't intend to make a fortune from this at all. I do want to think it'd be quite a nice thing to have out there. My plan is to cover, just for full disclosure, about £1 or £2 literally per calendar. That should cover the costs of me actually prepping it and selling it and posting it. So that's the thoughts just now. That's the TT120 calendar. You heard it here first. Let's have an avalanche of stuff flowing in. My inbox should be pinging already almost, because you know exactly the photo you want to send in, or you know the one you want to go and take just now and get it in. And that will be fantastic. And all the stuff that isn't used for the calendar, I would like to do then a kind of slideshow as a video later on in the new year of just the full range of stuff that's out there. Just one video, a little bit of gentle background music, not me yabbering on, and just show off the scale. So by sending me a photo, you are agreeing to these terms of use. It will get used either for the calendar or a one-off slideshow that will go up on a video. If you only want to use the calendar, put that in. I don't want on the slideshow, that's fine. But otherwise, I will assume on that being okay for that. I will use it for nothing else. Once it is done for either the calendar or the slideshow, I will be erasing the photos. So it's your property, you've taken it. But if you sent it to me for that purpose, I hope that's fair use, I think it might be called. So do include your own name and the name of your layout if your layout has a name yet. If not, don't worry about it. But I will include that as a credit at the bottom of each photo if I can figure out how to do that. I think I can. So, right, bespoke TT120 calendar. Hopefully that'll be something that we can all enjoy and look forward to in the months of 2026 if we are all spared to see it. Next. Okay, time to have a quick look at what I've been doing. So, a bit of SketchUp work first of all. So here's the roof. That's going to go on the tenement block. So this has been also modeled. To be honest, the tiling should be much more fine than this, but when I saw it happen to the brickwork on the station wall, I don't know if I see the point in doing it. I think part of the idea is to give the impression of relief. So you can see there, you can definitely see that on this, I hope. What didn't come out terribly well, these were actually pre-formed chimneys I just imported as components. Up until about here is fine. The top part of the chimneys have failed in the print, and that's actually a problem with the imported CAD from the component. For some reason, it's fine as a CAD model, but it's not fine for 3D printing. I've tried in resin, I've tried in multiple printers. It doesn't make any difference. They're just not quite properly done. So that doesn't trouble me greatly. I can make that fit later on. So kind of flat lead roof, couple of notional lead joining lines here. So that'll be picked out in a kind of different color, a kind of lighter gray lead color. The tiling will be done dark. That's the plan. As much as there is a plan. Okay. If we go to what else is here, we'll go to the station. I've also been working on that. Let's see if my spin around. There we go. Now that's what was meant to happen. See? Why did that not work before? Anyway. Right, so the station is custom design made to fit. You have to imagine the platform sitting here, and then this ramp is ramp access to the car park, and the far side is steps into the town. There'll be a brick wall to be added on the back side here. I had difficulty getting the print properly, so I had to play around with that a wee bit. So it's sort of designed a little bit like a cheap knockoff, not well done, attempting to parody a bit of Mies van der Rohe for those who are interested in the Barcelona Pavilion. It's simple planes. It's a little bit concrete brutalist, but anyway, it's a basically a ticket office box here, ramp in, out on the platform, steps the other side. That's really all it is to it. I was trying to get the idea of something that would be done in the 70s or 80s, simple, cheap, and now begin to look rather tatty. So that's, let me come around the other side of the station to give you a better look. Okay. So that station sign, the wall will be tarred on there, and that's where we do it into the office. So that has also been printed off, as has the brick wall. Now you can see if you zoom in there, the bricks were all individually modeled in that they all should have had coursing, but at this scale I'm just not getting the coursing to come out properly on the model. There's other differences I've made, actually. I've put buttresses on the wall as well, but it's coming out as bumps more than coursing, I'm afraid. Now, maybe if I was using the 0.2 mil hot end rather than the 0.4 mil, but I haven't got a 0.2 yet. So, and I'm not unhappy with how it's come out. To the naked eye, it actually looks all right. When you zoom in ultra with a close-up lens, and you can see it's clearly not right, but it actually looks not too bad, I think. You can judge for yourselves in a moment. So that's been a little quick look around of what I've been doing in terms of the CAD, what I've been working on, and what we're trying to get going. And here's one I made earlier. Right, so this is the 3D print. It's come out fairly well. A couple of things from really my fault, not the printers. I didn't give quite enough support on the underside. We can pick that out, so it's a bit messy in there. But I can live with that. It kind of gives a bit of grain to it. And they were already, it was printed like that, so these supports were very tricky to remove in the first place, and I didn't want to add more. But anyway, so this has been a bit of grey primer, and then really weathering powder, which has been used almost as paint, and then covered over with a bit of matte spray, matte finish. So it's meant to be kind of mimicking a concrete style block, big box. Here's the ramp access. There will be pillars coming down from either side of my thumb there. You can see the beginnings of them. Libby didn't include them on the model. I'll add them on later. Easier done that way. I'll end up with less fragile parts I'll knock off. And that just shows you kind of the booth inserted. There's the door there and station sign and steps. Okay, so that's getting close. A few posters to be added on, bring a bit of life to it, I think. And a handrail in the middle of these steps also be added on, just wire. And then this, that looks a lot more orange on the video than it is in reality. You doesn't take my word for that. But here's the wall. So you can sort of see it gives the impression of. So what I did here was give it a fairly one over with a dark brick color, and then added on top of that a much lighter color, a cream, and then let that settle down into the grooves, and then wipe that away, and then added various washes and powderings, weatherings over the top of that, and some green wash as well at the base to give it a bit of impression of decrepitude. Decrepitude, that's a good word. I should use that more often. Right then, so here is the station. And so that should sit quite nicely just about there. And that's what we're hoping to work with. I think that's come out reasonably well. Got us to finish off a little bit for the side of the ramp here. There's a bit of tidying up to be done. But overall, yeah, I'm not unhappy with that. I think that looks like I could imagine 70s, 80s station halt on a suburban line, somewhere maybe in Glasgow or Edinburgh. I think that would come out okay. So there we have it. Let's see if we can find somewhere for it on the actual layout. Okay, so here is the sort of town area. Well, that's going to get the roof on it later on. Here is the platform, and the idea is for this to sit just along there. I think there's a bit further this way actually, but you get the idea. And then, well, I've got actually two versions. I've got a plain brick wall I did here. And I've got the buttressed brick wall. I think is better. But comments, please. None of this is stuck down yet. So that's the idea, is this is going to kind of come up behind the back of these houses are going to be sort of here and form an alley at the back, but there'll be a gap somewhere. to get into the station round the back, something like that. And then there'll be a car park on this side. So there we are. That's the progress on the layout. A couple of other things I want to show you, and I'll do that in a moment. Right then, here is my roof 3D printer on the A1 Mini. Just a very quick blow over of primer, so you can tell I've got a few gaps from the overhangs just fill in, but that will hopefully sit reasonably well on there. And that kind of gives a bit more gravitas. It's not quite satisfied, but we'll get there. So that will be blackened, still leave the top a grayer, and hopefully finish off the tenement block reasonably well. Yeah, not unhappy with that. You can see now, I did mention the chimneys didn't print properly. You can see they were fine up until that point. And thereafter, a bit of, interesting, the camera can pick that up. There's a bit of stringing between them as well. I need to clear that down. That can be done easy enough with a bit of hot air, of which I usually have plenty. Cool. Just to prove the point, it's about 10 seconds of work. You've cleared away these little stringing bits. So that looks sharper. Okay. Just to give a very quick demo, just using some weathering powder, you're just brushing that on and then evening it out as much as you can. And then seal that with a little bit of matte sealant varnish. And I think that comes out reasonably well. I'll give it a bit more variation colour in a minute when it's done, but just to give the impression on camera. Right then, so here I've just come up with a little bit of hedging, and I want to show you how I did that. Again, it doesn't always stand up to the HD lens, but I think the overall impression is quite good. Okay, so all that's done here is there's a bucket of foliage which I've mixed in various different kinds. You can obviously make that as you like yourself. So that's just a bucket, different bits of foliage, clump foliage, all mixed in together, and some double-sided tape. And that really is all that there is here to see. So I'm going to give a very short demonstration of this, I hope. We'll make it a slightly larger one so it's easy for the camera to pick up, at least in terms of its depth. Maybe not too large. And I think it's safe to say you can all probably tell exactly what I'm about to do. Mac trains audience being such a knowledgeable lot. You just press the tape in, get as good coverage as you possibly can, shake it off, and there you have one side done. Now the trickiest thing by far in all of this is then getting the backing off this double-sided tape. And I'm dreading trying to do this on camera, but we will give it a go. But what it's worth, and this doesn't seem to make any sense whatsoever, but I've found it easier to imagine myself peeling not the backing off the hedge, but the hedge off the backing. I don't know why that makes any difference. You may have to accept a sort of sacrificial edging to it as you lose a wee bit when you do this. I can definitely see this being speeded up in the edit. Come on. I knew this would happen. There we go. Okay. Not too painful. And rinse and repeat. So, one little bit of hedging. Now, I don't think that's too bad for next to no cost. And obviously because it is basically just tape, it is infinitely flexible. You put it exactly where you want. Once it's in place, I would spray it with a fixative adhesive over the top, whether it's a PVA mix, sorry PHA, or something else that will hold it in place. But you can see bits will come off it just now. But both sides pretty well covered, and that is, I think, quite an acceptable hedge for TT120. There you are, little modelling tip. Right then, guys, I knew this would happen. Midway through prepping this, the Terriers are out. Okay, at least two of them are. The Southern and the LBSCR ones. So these are out. They will not be around for long, I am almost certain. If you want one, there's affiliate links below. There's also the various retailers you can get them from. But Hornby have various discounts just now with the Halloween stuff going on. So you really will not regret getting one of these, I'm almost certain. Lovely little locos, lots of detail, lots of weight to them, and they beat the J50. That was the question. Would they or wouldn't they? They have. The Terriers are out. Some poor souls have ordered the BR one and they have to wait a bit longer, and that's going to be tough. I'm not going to enjoy that. But nonetheless, affiliate link below, look for these. The Class 50 is not meant to be far away. The Class 50 Barham and Arc Royal, at least that is, I think. The Class 37s are also not far away. Before the end of the year, certainly, we're expecting them. So do keep your eye out for that kind of stuff. But more speedily than these things, the little branch line freight set with the 040, the B4. That's going to be a really interesting one when that comes out. That could give a huge boost to the scale. So there's lots of stuff happening. Got 3 different locos between now and the end of the year. Terriers out, the 37s, the B4s, possibly the J50s. I think they've been pushed back a bit now, haven't they? Trying to remember that now. I think they're now into January. This is all, by the way, not my information. Tim Allen, absolute star, keeps us up to date. Get onto the Hornby forums, look for pre-order and future items or something like that, and then bracket for the month, and he will just give you the rundown of what's expected. He's using public available information. This is not some sort of insider. He's making the effort to drag his way through all the source code on Hornby's own website. And within that, there's an availability date always posted in it. So he's digging right down into the metadata. He's pulling that forward, doing the work for us. Huge shout out to Tim Allen. Go give the man a thumbs up somewhere if you see him. Right, I think that's us about done. Probably longer than I expected it to be, but that's usually the case when I start rabbiting on. Thank you so much for watching. Glad you're still here, and I hope that we have lots more to talk about soon. Thanks again.